There are seasons in life when everything feels like it's unraveling. Not loudly, not all at once, but slowly, like an old thread being pulled from the edge of something you thought would last forever. The routines that once comforted you begin to feel hollow. The laughter in familiar rooms sounds distant, and when you look in the mirror, you see someone you recognize, but no longer fully know. Maybe you've tried to explain it. Maybe you've told yourself, it's just a phase, I'll get through it. But deep down, there's a softer voice whispering, this isn't just change. This is something deeper. You haven't lost your way. You're being called inward, not outward, to return. Not to who you were, but to who you've always quietly been. And perhaps that's why you're here, not by accident, not by algorithm, but because something inside you is ready to let go of the noise, the masks, the pretending, and finally listen to what your soul has been whispering beneath the noise. So stay, not for the words, but for the remembering. Because in the stillness that follows, you may begin to see you were never broken, you were only becoming. This is not a lesson, it's a homecoming. Shall we begin? Part 1. Falling apart is not the end. It's the first blooming. Sometimes the unraveling is not the end of the thread, but the beginning of a deeper weaving. There comes a moment in life, quiet and subtle, when the world you've built, the beliefs you've clung to, and even the rhythm of your own breath no longer feel like home. Nothing dramatic may happen at first. No great storm, no grand event, just a strange feeling in your chest, like something once tightly wound is now loosening. Something invisible is shifting, and you can't quite explain it, but you know something's coming undone. That unraveling, that ache in the silence, is where our story begins. In a small monastery nestled among the pine forests of ancient China, there lived a young monk who came to his master in distress. "Master," he whispered, "everything I believed in feels like it's crumbling. I no longer know who I am. Nothing makes sense. I feel lost." The old monk nodded gently and poured a cup of tea. He continued pouring until the cup overflowed. Startled, the young disciple exclaimed, "Master, it's spilling." The teacher smiled softly. "Just like this cup, your mind is too full. Until it empties, there is no room for the truth." Sometimes, life must spill over to make space. When things begin to fall apart, relationships, roles, long-held dreams, we often resist. We panic. We label it as failure, misfortune, maybe even punishment. But in the quiet wisdom of the Dharma, what crumbles is never random. The Buddha once said, "Whatever has the nature to arise, also has the nature to cease." This is not a curse, it is a profound blessing, because only through the ceasing of the false can the true finally emerge. Still, we grieve, and that grief is real. There's sorrow in watching the familiar fade, like an old photo slowly losing its color. But pause for a moment. What if this sorrow is not a sign of death, but of birth? Like the lotus that can only bloom from the mud, spiritual awakening rarely begins in clarity. It begins in confusion, in discomfort, in dissolution. And just like a seed breaking open underground, we don't see the growth, we only feel the crack. Have you ever noticed how some days you wake up with a strange tightness in your chest, a heaviness you can't explain? Perhaps it's not anxiety, perhaps it's your inner world stirring, preparing, whispering that the old skin no longer fits. What if what you're calling confusion is actually clarity in its rawest form? What if the unraveling is sacred? There is a word in Zen, kensho, a sudden glimpse into the nature of things, often born from crisis. The moment we realize that what is falling away was never truly us. It was just the costume we wore for survival. So here is the truth. You are not broken. You are being broken open. There is a world beneath your worries, waiting to breathe. And yes, this process may feel like death, but it is a death of falsehood, not of you. The Buddha taught, just as a snake sheds its skin, we must shed our past over and over again. Let the shedding happen, let it ache, let it clear. So ask yourself gently, what part of me is trying to hold together something that is meant to fall apart? What illusion am I still calling truth, because I fear the unknown? Let this be the first breath of something deeper, not a solution, not a fix, but a return to the ground beneath the ground, the self before the story, the peace before the name. And if this resonates, if something in you nods quietly in recognition, then perhaps you're already in the sacred season of beginning again, because as this part dissolves, something else is about to rise. But what happens when even the body joins the quiet rebellion? When the aches and tightness are not signs of decline, but messages, sacred ones. We'll go there next. Part 2. The body as a doorway to presence. Your body is not a burden to manage, it is a bell calling you home. We often think of the body as separate from the soul, a vessel we must maintain, endure, or even fight against as we age. But what if that ache in your back, that quiet tension in your chest, or the deep fatigue you cannot explain, what if none of it is random? What if these are not flaws but sacred messages from a deeper part of you, gently inviting you to pause and listen? In the teachings of the Buddha, there is a simple yet profound truth. In this very body, 6 feet in length, is the world, the arising of the world, and the cessation of the world, not somewhere else, not in the clouds or heavens, but here, in the curve of your spine, in the rise of your breath, in the beat of your heart. There's a story in the Zen tradition about a wandering layman who traveled far to meet a teacher. When he arrived, exhausted and restless, he asked the monk, "Master, how do I find peace?" The teacher looked at him and simply said, "Go sit beside the river and listen to your knees." The man was confused. "Listen to my knees." But he did. And over the days that followed, as he sat in silence, tuning in to every creak and pulse and stretch in his legs, something shifted. In those ordinary sensations, he began to feel a vast stillness. His body had been speaking all along. He had just been too busy to hear it. You see, the body is never in the future. It doesn't rehearse. It doesn't regret. It lives in the now. And because of that, it becomes a sacred doorway back to the present, especially when the mind is lost in thought. When was the last time you placed a gentle hand on your heart? Not to check if it was racing, but to simply say, "Thank you for beating, even when I forgot to care." When did you last breathe consciously and feel the breath? Not just as air, but as life itself. In the Anapanasati Sutta, the Buddha teaches, breathing in, I am aware of my body. Breathing out, I calm my body. It's not just instruction, it's an invitation, a return to what is always here, always waiting, your own sacred form. As we grow older, the body speaks louder, not as punishment, but as guidance. The stiffness, the slowness, the trembling hands, they are not enemies, they are bells. Each sensation, each wrinkle, each moment of fatigue is the body's way of saying, come back to this moment, to what is real. And here's a quiet truth. Few people tell us. The body remembers what the mind forgets. The body remembers grief we never cried out. It holds tightness from words we never spoke. It stores tension from roles we've outgrown but kept wearing. But here's the grace. It also remembers how to heal, and healing begins not with fixing, but with listening. So what if, Just for today, you walked a little slower, not out of weakness, but in reverence. What if you placed your palms on your belly and whispered, "You've carried so much. You can rest now." Your body is not your enemy. It is your ally, your archive, your altar. And when you begin to talk to it, kindly, truthfully, patiently, it responds. But what happens when the person you've been no longer feels like the one you're becoming? When even your reflection in the mirror starts to feel unfamiliar, like an old friend you've outgrown. Let's explore that next. Part 3. The days when you no longer feel like who you were. The moment you stop recognizing who you were may be the moment you begin to remember who you truly are. There's a quiet kind of grief that comes not from loss but from transformation. It creeps in gently, like morning fog, through a window you forgot you'd left open. One day, you wake up and find that the hobbies you used to love feel distant. The conversations that once lit you up now leave you hollow. You pass by your favorite cafe, hear your old favorite song, wear that favorite sweater, and none of it feels like it belongs to you anymore. Have you felt that? That strange and tender ache? Not quite sadness, not quite fear, when the life you're living no longer feels like the one that fits. In Buddhism, we speak of anatta, the truth of non-self. It doesn't mean you don't exist. It means you're not fixed. You are not one single self written in stone. You are a river, always moving, always becoming. There's a Zen story about a disciple who came to his master and said, "I no longer recognize myself." The master smiled and replied, "Excellent, now we can begin." Let that sink in. Sometimes not knowing who you are is the first sign that you've stopped living someone else's life. You see, most of us spend decades building an identity, carefully layering labels, roles, expectations, and dreams like bricks in a house. The good child, the hard worker, the strong one, the caretaker. But what happens when those bricks begin to crack? When the house starts to feel more like a cage than a home? It's easy to feel lost, to panic. But maybe, just maybe, that disorientation is your soul pulling you back to something more honest. The Buddha once said, "Just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life." And sometimes the fire comes not in moments of inspiration, but in moments when everything familiar falls away. The truth is, you're not going backwards. You're not unraveling. You're returning. Returning to the part of you that existed before the roles, before the expectations, before the performance. The one who felt joy in stillness. The one who wondered about the stars. The one who didn't need to prove a thing to be worthy of love. This process can be lonely. You may feel like you're drifting, no longer able to relate to old friends, unsure of where you belong. But this solitude is not exile. It is incubation. Think of the silkworm, how it must dissolve completely inside its cocoon before the wings begin to form. What looks like nothing happening is, in fact, the sacred work of becoming. So if you're in that in-between place, where you've outgrown the old, but the new hasn't fully arrived, take heart. You are not lost. You are shedding. And with each layer that falls away, you step closer to the truth that was there all along. But as the surface identity dissolves, a softer voice begins to emerge, one that doesn't come from the mind or the past, but from something deeper, quieter, a knowing that doesn't argue, it simply is. What happens when you begin to trust that voice? When your decisions no longer come from logic, but from a place that feels ancient. Let's go deeper. Part 4. Intuition. The voice before words. Long before your mind understands, your being already knows. There are moments, rare and quiet, when something inside you whispers a truth you can't explain. You may be standing at a crossroad trying to weigh the options, listening to every voice but your own. And then suddenly you just know. It doesn't come with certainty, but with peace. Not with reason, but with resonance. And you wonder, where did that come from? In the teachings of the Buddha, there is the concept of vijja, inner knowing, the light of insight that arises not from thinking, but from deep, embodied awareness, not the kind of knowledge you read in books, but the kind you feel in your bones. A Zen master once said, "Before words, before thought, there is a gate. You must walk through it barefoot." What he meant was this: intuition is not something you analyze, it's something you inhabit. And to do so, you must learn to walk softly and to listen. There's a story told in the Buddhist tradition of an old woman who came to the monastery gates, asking to speak with the abbot. "I have a question," she said. "How can I trust my heart?" The abbot looked at her gently and replied, "Go into the forest. Sit under a tree. Do not speak. Do not read. Do not seek. Just listen to the birds, the wind, and the silence between your thoughts. When the silence speaks back to you, that is your answer. That silence, the space between your thoughts, is where your inner voice lives." But in a noisy world, we've grown deaf to it. We're told to weigh pros and cons, to follow logic, to calculate risks, and there's value in discernment. But intuition moves beneath the surface. Like roots in the soil, it doesn't shout, it doesn't argue. It simply says, "This way." Perhaps you've felt it. The unease when entering a room where something felt off, even before anyone spoke. The pull toward someone you just met, as if your spirit recognized theirs. The sudden knowing that it's time to leave or time to stay, even if nothing makes sense on paper. The Buddha often reminded his disciples, "Be a lamp unto yourself. Rely on the truth within." Not because the world is untrustworthy, but because the deepest compass is already within you. And here's the beauty. As you age, that voice becomes clearer, not because the mind is sharper, but because the masks are thinner. The performance drops, the noise fades, and in the quiet, the truth becomes audible again. But you must trust it, and trust takes practice. Try this the next time you face a decision, big or small. Pause, breathe, place your hand on your chest, and ask gently, what feels like peace? Not what is easiest, not what others expect, but what feels like a soft yes in your body. Because your intuition lives not in your head, but in your breath, in your skin, in the pause before you speak. And once you begin to trust that voice, life no longer feels like a maze. It becomes a current, a flow. But what happens when that voice begins to nudge you away from certain people, patterns and places, not with anger, but with clarity? When you no longer wish to explain why you're leaving, only that you must. This brings us to a sacred turning point. Part 5. Letting go is not losing. It is returning. You are not walking away from life. You are walking toward yourself. There are goodbyes that never reach the lips, departures without drama, endings that feel less like breaking and more like exhaling. One day, you simply know, this no longer fits. The conversation feels scripted. The room you once loved now echoes. The smile you wear begins to feel heavy. And so you begin, gently, without fanfare, to let go. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha taught, with the relinquishing of all thought and attachment, the awakened one finds freedom. But freedom doesn't always arrive in grand gestures. Sometimes it comes as a subtle pull inward, an ache, a quiet inner nod, not a scream, just a still, sacred no more. You see, letting go is not an act of abandonment. It is an act of devotion. Devotion to the truth that you are no longer willing to live half a life just to be accepted, that your peace is no longer up for negotiation. There's a Zen story of a traveler who carried a heavy pack as he walked through the mountains. Along the way, people kept handing him more memories, expectations, old hurts disguised as advice. By the time he reached the summit, his legs were trembling. A wise old man greeted him at the peak and asked, "Why are you carrying so much that was never yours?" The traveler looked at the pack and for the first time put it down. He wept, not from sadness, from relief. We carry so much that doesn't belong to us. The weight of other people's stories, roles we inherited, not chose, dreams we outgrew, but kept chasing out of habit. But what if the life you truly seek begins not when you add more, but when you release? You are not losing friends. You are losing versions of yourself that stayed out of fear. You are not leaving people behind. You are honoring the path you must walk alone. You are not breaking anything. You are breaking free. There may be grief, and that's okay. Even sacred release carries sadness. But let that sadness be soft. Let it be the song of a soul that is done shrinking. When a tree lets go of its leaves in autumn, we do not call it death, we call it the season. So what season are you in? Are you still clinging to what no longer feeds you? Are you saying yes with your mouth, while your heart quietly says no? What would it feel like to finally trust your inner no? Letting go is not a betrayal, it is a blessing. It is your soul saying, "This is not the story I wish to tell anymore." And the miracle is, once you let go, life fills the empty space with clarity, with peace, with people who see you. Not the mask, but the marrow. And yet, as you release the old, you might begin to feel something stirring in its place. A quiet but unmistakable desire, not just to be at peace, but to grow. So what happens when the heart, newly unburdened, begins to yearn for something more real, more alive? Let's step into that flame. Part 6. The quiet fire of inner growth. You are no longer trying to be more, you are trying to be real. It starts so softly, you almost miss it. A strange restlessness, not in your body but in your soul. The shows you used to watch feel hollow. The gossip feels stale. Even small talk feels like chewing on paper. There's no drama, no explosion, just a quiet but insistent whisper that says, "I need something deeper." In the Buddhist tradition, we call this samvega, a spiritual urgency, the unsettling realization that the old ways no longer satisfy, not because something's wrong, but because something is awakening. It's like standing in your old childhood room. The furniture is the same. The walls haven't changed, but you have. You no longer fit. This is not a crisis. It is a calling. You're not falling apart. You're falling inward. And from that place, a quiet fire begins to burn. Not the fire of ambition, not the flames of ego, but the soft, steady fire of remembrance. Remembrance of who you were before the world told you who to be. There's a Zen parable of a monk who spent years copying sacred texts, hoping to be enlightened through perfect recitation. One day, he grew frustrated and asked his teacher, "Why have I not awakened? I've memorized every word." The master smiled and handed him a mirror. "Here," he said, "try remembering yourself." That story, as simple as it sounds, is a mirror for all of us. We spend decades accumulating knowledge, roles, achievements, only to one day realize we've forgotten who we are beneath it all. And so begins the sacred return. You begin reading not to impress, but to be touched. You seek silence, Not because you are bored, but because noise no longer nourishes you. You listen not to reply, but to feel. This is the fire, and it's not loud. It's steady. It draws you to truth, to teachings that speak to your soul, not your status, to conversations that leave you with goosebumps, not just conclusions, to questions like, what part of me have I silenced just to survive? What lies have I worn as masks? What would my life look like if I stopped performing and simply became? The Buddha once said, as a flame is not disturbed by the wind, so the wise remain undisturbed in blame or praise. And that is what the quiet fire gives you. Not perfection, but presence. Not status, but stillness. Not applause, but alignment. You begin to value the subtle over the loud, depth over decoration, truth over tradition. And yes, you may walk alone at times, but now you walk with clarity, and that clarity draws the right people, the right path, the right pace. You are not chasing transformation, you are surrendering to it. And as this fire grows, it begins to melt the last of your resistance. Not because you've become fearless, but because you've become honest. Now the final veil begins to lift, and what emerges is not someone new, but someone true. Yet even as this fire warms you, there remains one final release. A detachment, not from the world, but from all that no longer carries meaning. So what does it feel like when even your dreams begin to change shape? When what once thrilled you now feels like a shadow? Let's step into that quiet revelation. Part 7. You were never broken, you were becoming. What if nothing was wrong with you? Not then, not now. Just something within you trying to awaken. It's strange, isn't it? How we spend half a lifetime trying to fix ourselves, trying to patch the cracks, hide the wounds, polish the edges, and prove our worth, as if being human was a mistake we had to constantly apologize for. But what if the cracks were not signs of damage, but signs of becoming? The Buddha once said, "Our sorrows and wounds are healed only when we touch them with compassion, not with judgment, not with shame, but with the soft hand of truth, the kind of truth that doesn't condemn, but frees." You see, the deeper path doesn't ask you to become someone else. It asks you to return to who you were before the world told you who to be, before the armor, before the masks, before the forgetting. There's a quiet story in Zen about a monk who spent years trying to attain enlightenment. He fasted, meditated, recited every sutra, but still, he felt inadequate. One day, an old hermit saw his suffering and said, "Stop polishing the mirror. You are not the mirror. You are the light." And just like that, the monk wept. For the first time, he understood he had never been broken. He had only been asleep to his own light. How many of us have mistaken the cocoon for a coffin, mistaken exhaustion for failure, loneliness for unworthiness? We look at our scars, physical, emotional, spiritual, and call them flaws. But the Dharma reminds us, like the lotus flower that blooms most beautifully from the deepest mud, so too can wisdom arise from suffering. Your pain was not wasted. Your confusion was not weakness. Each unraveling was a lesson in letting go. Each detour, a doorway back home. And here you are. After all the seasons of shedding, after all the moments you doubted your worth, you are still here. But look closer, you're not the same. You move slower, but more deliberately. You speak less, but more truthfully. You crave less approval and more peace. You've stopped performing and started listening. You no longer chase meaning. You create space for it to rise. You realize now, nothing outside you could complete what was already whole within. This is not the end, but it is a threshold, a holy pause, The life ahead of you doesn't need a grand purpose or perfect plan. It asks for one thing only: your presence. Not the kind of presence that strives or proves, but the kind that receives, moment by moment, with the gentle awe of a soul that finally feels at home in its own breath. So ask yourself now, what if healing is not about fixing what is wrong, but remembering what is true? What if growth is not about becoming more, but becoming you? What if you were never broken, only covered? The clouds do not damage the sky. They only veil it for a while. And now, the sky is clearing. So breathe in, not to change anything, but to honor it. Breathe out, not to let go, but to make room. Because something beautiful is always waiting beneath the silence. And you are ready to meet it. The journey doesn't end here, but the forgetting does. Now begins the quiet return. Remember the gentle ache we spoke of in the beginning? That soft, quiet sense that something inside you was shifting. Even if the world couldn't see it, it's still there. But now, no longer feels like an ache. It feels like an opening, like the way the earth softens before it blooms. And just now, as I was sitting with these final words, I realized something I hadn't before. Maybe we don't become whole by effort or enlightenment. Maybe we simply stop running from the parts of ourselves we once hid and finally offer them a seat at the fire. I think about the moments no one sees. When you sit in your chair long after the house has gone quiet, or when a certain song makes your eyes well up for reasons you can't quite name. Those are not signs of weakness. They are invitations to soften, to return, to breathe again, as if your life were not a problem to solve, but a garden to tend, slowly, gently, in your own time. So if you've been holding yourself together for others, for appearances, for survival, maybe tonight you can let go just a little. Let the breath be enough. Let the silence say what words cannot. And if something here has stirred a quiet remembering in you, perhaps someone else you love is quietly waiting for the same. You could send this to them. No need for explanation, just a soft gift from one heart to another. Until next time, be kind to your becoming.